So we are excited to partner with Glossy, the Great Lakes African American Writers Conference, for this offering How to Build Your Author Legacy, with Glossy's Author of the Year Award winner, Michael Copeland, and Author of the Year Award finalist, Schwartzen Precil. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to our two authors, and take it away. Thanks.
Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Sorry about that. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are calling from, wherever you are tuning in from. We are glad you're here. Welcome to our session. I am Dr. Michael Copeland. This is Schwartzen Precil. So we're going to start off with just our introductions. So about me, I am a 5-time published author. I am an entrepreneur, educator, mentor. I have definitely enjoyed my experience with writing. I have more books on the way. Definitely have enjoyed my career in education and reaching out and mentoring to young people. That's a little bit about me. Schwartzen?
Good morning. Like you said, my name is Schwartzen Precil, but as a love term of endearment, my nickname is Shway. It's actually, I used to be a dancer growing up in New York City. That's where I'm originally from. And they associated me with like Patrick Swayze. Eventually, I just shortened it to Shway, and so everybody calls me Shway for short. So it's definitely a blessing to be here. A little bit about my background. Again, first-generation American through New York City, originally from Haiti, my family. And the way I got here over in Ann Arbor, because of my undergrad ties to Philander University, to Michigan Tech. I went to school because I was recruited from sports out of New York City and to my background. Eventually, I transitioned after playing professional sports to authorhood, and this is kind of where Dr. Copeland and myself kind of met as fellow educators, as fellow just authors, and people who are passionate about helping people in their publishing journey. I wrote 7 books myself, helped several clients write their books, and I'm just grateful to just be on the journey that we're on today and to have stages. This is one of my third or fourth time sharing the stage with Dr. Copeland, and
Yes.
I'm just blessed to be here and be able to share with you all what today is all about.
Most definitely glad to be here. Glad to be here. All righty, so we will move forward into our icebreaker. All right. So we basically are going to ask you to partner with your neighbor and just pretty much just talk about if you have a book or a book idea, just pretty much spend some time talking about that book idea, and then we want you all, it's going to be an interactive workshop, we want you all to tell us about your book or about your idea. If you don't have a book or idea, you could talk about your favorite book, okay? So we'll spend about a few minutes on this.
And if you are tuning in online, you can write it down. Just grab your pen and paper. If you're tuning in online, please write down your book idea, and you can share it with yourself, with your neighbor, or maybe there's a chat as well.
welcome, welcome, welcome. I definitely encourage anybody who's new coming into the room. Right now, we're in the middle of our icebreaker, talking about our books or ideas. You can get in a group of 3, if that helps. Yep. And then once we complete that, we will discuss anybody who wants to volunteer to share. We got some great conversation going on. I hope you guys are online getting good conversation. We got some great conversation going on in the room, so definitely don't want to interrupt. Keep it at it. Thank you. I hate going first.
For real?
I didn't know what to say. But whatever came out, came out. It's always easy for the second person to go because you heard the first person. Huh? Yeah, it's pros and cons. It's like going first, you go, you out the way, but then you go second, you get to kind of think about your answer. So with me, it's a pro and con.
Now we know for next time.
Well, no, I mean, it's not a big deal at all. It's just, doesn't matter who's first. That's why I'm so sure.
All right, we're hearing some great conversations. If you want to need a couple more minutes, 2-3 more minutes, it's fine. Go ahead, take your time. All right. Okay. Well, everyone's going to be able to hear from us shortly, but we definitely want to hear from you all. We heard some great things, hopefully. And if you want, you would love to take the mic. If you want, I'll pass you the mic, actually. Just share your book idea. Let us know.
Is it on? Oh, it's on. Okay. So my concept kind of is it's kind of complicated. It's like a 3-part series that I was working on an outline and like characters, but essentially has to do with the mystery around the ancient pyramids and folklore. So we have a lot of folklore of the undead over the years. We have a lot of mystery around the way that the pyramids were built and what they were actually used for. So it would dive into, you know, some fantasy fiction about how the pyramids were gifted to us. And, you know, it's just kind of like a slow reveal where, you know, we start off with a main character. She's, you know, like a priestess, and she's a healer. And through suffering and loss, the gift gets abused, and it causes catastrophe. So she's trying to enlighten the modern generation about, you know, these gifts that were given to us and what that meant, and how she messed it all up, and what happened. And then there's a cliffhanger at the end of the first book. And the second book's a little bit different than that one. And then the third, at the end of the second book, humanity is at a breaking point, and the entity that gives us this gift of the pyramids returns to our salvation in the third book. So, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you for sharing.
And for those who just walked in, if you, no, you're fine. For those who just walked in, if you feel comfortable, we're just sharing our favorite book or our book idea that we've written.
So I am kind of like really new to this. I just kind of like dabbled in writing in middle school, but I just really wanted to pick it back up. And I've had a few ideas lately. I've been going through a lot of things in my life, and I kind of like wanted to base it on like my life and what I've been going through. Medically, I have started having seizures. And so like, I guess one feeling after having a seizure is like your reality has shifted. And so I kind of like wanted to like base it off of like that a little bit. And then like, so like when the character would go into like these seizures, like she would kind of like go into a different world. And like, you know, I've always liked, you know, the Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit, you know, things like that, like fantasy worlds. So I kind of like wanted to like make the world like based off that, like, you know, like Harry Potter, things like that.
I love that. I actually can relate a little bit because my father just kind of had a seizure episode a few weeks ago.
Oh.
And it does change your life, and it does change your family's lives too. So
Oh yeah,
I
definitely.
definitely agree with that.
There's an underlying tone of some adventure as well for both book ideas. We love the adventure ideas. We'll talk more about that as well. Okay. That's right, tough love and conflict.
Hi, I'm Amy. So I've been working on primarily like articles. I did start what was going to be a book, but I've kind of tabled that for now in favor of writing shorter form articles. But I've been writing about my long distance hiking experiences. So I hiked the Appalachian Trail and also 1,600 miles of the Continental Divide Trail. So reflections of those experiences and lessons learned, and how some of the principles learned from living for months in the wilderness can be applied to our everyday lives and society, and how we can live better, healthier, more connected lives through some of those principles.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi, and sorry I came in late. I drove in from Detroit. So I'm actually a folklorist. Schwartzen, we actually were at the same university together in the UP, and so I'm accustomed to writing about other people. So, you know, I do ethnography, which is where you write about different people's cultures and like their experiences, and offer kind of an insight into the patterns that people do culturally. So I'm not used to writing about myself, and actually I kind of like my own experiences except for my journal, and I always kind of feel weird, like people are like, you should write about something you did, and I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. But then, I don't know, Schwartz, you've been following my Facebook the past couple of years, but like my life has just been a complete disaster. And it just like every bad thing you could think of that could happen pretty much happened in my life, and I totally had to rebuild, which included like giving up my career that I had developed for 25 years. My husband died like the same day I learned I was losing my career, like all this stuff happened. And then an opportunity came up in Detroit, and I was like, you know what? I have got to get the hell out of the UP. I'm going to Detroit. And it was amazing. Like, I've just had this total change in my life, and all these really good things happening. And so people are like, well, you should write about that. And I'm like, I'm still not used to the idea of writing publicly about myself, because I kind of, you know, I don't know, I'm just so used to writing about other people. But I think if people keep telling me maybe I should try that, and I already know I can kind of write, like maybe it's something I should look into. So I don't know. I feel bad because you just walked in and we're all doing this like show and tell.
No, It's definitely good.
Glad you're here.
Good to see you, Dr.
It's so
Worthington.
good
Yes,
to see
yes.
you.
Thank
No,
you for
just Victoria
being.
now.
Oh, okay, Victoria.
yeah.
Okay, I couldn't call her our first name before, but Victoria, thank you. And yes, we did. She introduced me to folklore over in the UP as well, and so listening to just her talk about the Finnish history and reading the Kalevala and everything, those were foundational to how I started reading and getting enjoyment for folklore myself, including Haitian folklore. And so we'll talk about that a little bit as well. So thank you for sharing.
And I just wanted to shout you out too for a second. I definitely encourage you to, at least continue to ponder on writing your own self-reflection, because sometimes we can be like, our story is not as significant, but it really is. And your voice and your story matters, and it can truly help somebody else. So just some words of encouragement.
Just go.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Patrice. I moved to Ann Arbor a few months ago from the Northeast, from the Boston area. And I'm an academic, and so I've done a lot of academic writing, but my daughters have been pushing me to write my memoir, which I've found really, really difficult to do storytelling. And so I've been trying to write my memoir for years, on and off. And I recently wrote 2 personal essays because I thought maybe start small and have a small win. And I would say the reason that they want me to write my memoir that I'm trying to think about is the experience I had going through a divorce, returning to school to get my PhD as a single mother, and just trying to pull at the threads of what would be meaningful to other people that they might connect with, and then thinking about how do I make that into an engaging story? Because I'm more of this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. So yeah.
I love to hear that, and as an educator myself, my first 3 books are based off education, teaching, and mentoring, nonfiction. So I definitely encourage you to check that out. It's testimonial based, but also strategies too. So I love to hear that. Thank you.
Yep, and same here as an educator as well for 8 years. A few of my books I started in curriculum development, and then eventually I put the engagement part, like the interesting parts of life, to show principles of success, principles of, things that life teaches you, life wisdom that you can pass down to the next generation.
That's great, thank you. Yeah, and so I've never taken a formal writing class, so I feel a little for creative writing, yeah.
Right, so now we'll get started. Again, today it's those who design for writers, aspiring authors, storytellers, and just those ready to excel in their literary journey. And we do this on webinars on a yearly, on a semi-monthly basis. So we've been doing this since last year, and this is an opportunity to showcase in public in front of you all.
All right. So first off, once again, we're glad you're here. It was definitely great learning about your books and book ideas. I'm glad you're here. So today, one of the first things we're going to talk about is a strong manuscript. So having a unique voice. Your voice is perfection. Do not lose your voice. Write your story, write your memoir, and just write. So I always tell clients, always write first, edit later. Write first, edit later. Do not try to edit while you're writing, because you're going to keep on being repetitive. You won't get very far. Write that chapter first, then go back and edit. So, and use your unique voice. Do not use ChatGPT to write your story. ChatGPT should be used for editorial purposes only. It's a great tool, but it's not meant to lose your voice. You have a unique voice, and your voice matters. So writing with purpose, not just storytelling, the message framework, all right? The message framework. So you got experience. So we talked a lot about that in here. A lot of you guys already have the experience. We can only write about what we know. Like for my books, I can only write about teaching, mentoring, education, social emotional learning, self-help, and children's books, because that's what I know. I can't write about folklore because I don't know about folklore. I admire you guys. But I'll write about what you've experienced, what you know. What's the lesson in your message framework? What lesson are you trying to teach? What's the impact? Who are you trying to reach? Think about that. It leads to impact. So what are you trying to get people to learn? What do you want people to gain from this experience? Do you want them to, so I have a book that I just launched off. It's called Laid Off and I Don't Know What to Do, Turning Pain into Purpose. My audience, of course, is for people who have lost their jobs, but also the impact is I want people to be encouraged through a layoff. You know, this is not your end. Go into entrepreneurship, saving strategies, trying to be prepared, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So it's not just testimonial based, it's also tips and strategies. So that's just an example of one of my books. So what impact are you trying to create? What impact are you trying to make? Also, writing with clarity. Know what you're writing and why you write it before you write it. So know why you're writing and know what you want to write. All right. So what's your why? Think about your why. You know, I heard a lot of you guys talking about memoir based, or you've talked about something you're interested in. So what's your why? What's your why behind your book? Your audience gives you the clarity on the problem they are experiencing. So your audience is looking to be healed. They're looking to get insight, looking for impact. You know, what's your why? Who are you trying to impact? So always think about that before you write. Oh, I also wanted to highlight our publishing catalog. So these are all the books between myself and Schwartzen with our clients and our own books together. This is our whole catalog. And this is just 2025. We haven't even gotten to the 2026 books. We already have several books that could be added to this list. But we just wanted to point it out to you as well.
Yeah. One of the most important things is writing with clarity. And so, again, I started in sports. That's how I got to Michigan. I started not as an author, not really a young man who participated a lot in school because I couldn't read that well. And I definitely couldn't write that well either. And so that I always looked at as a form of discouragement. However, journaling really helped me get those emotions out, those insecurities out. Just journaling, actually, with Hillary, when we went to Finland for the first time, it was the first time I ever left the country. And we journaled every single day. I think we used those journals to turn into a blog at one point. And it built some confidence in me. I was 19 at the time, just a kid, trying to play basketball, trying to figure out life. And I didn't know I was going to have a writing career and an established publishing business in order to help others do the same. And so even if you discouraged, I don't know what to write or I don't know where to start, just start with even journaling it down. Yes. I'm really big on adventures as well. I wrote a fiction novel as well. I'm really big. I would like to say I want to be like the African-American, like Black William Shakespeare in a way. I'm really big into romance as well. And so I think it's a beautiful way of telling stories. It's a beautiful way of just being able to express something that, I think is important to have in life. And so, like Dr. Copeland said, so these are some of the catalogs that we did over less than a year, I believe, just in 2025 alone. And so one of the challenging things, when I started writing, I was 24, I was homeless. I got cut from a team in Spain, and so I was on my second contract playing professionally. I had played in Finland during my year of study abroad, and then I went out to Grand Rapids, Michigan, where I lived for a little bit, and then I went over to Spain. And so when I was homeless, I was like, well, if I, not to be morbid or anything, but to just be transparent, if something happened to me, if I died, right, those were my thoughts at the time. Who would remember me? And why would they remember me? To me, the greatest accomplishment in my life was a degree, a college degree. To me, I was, my little bit of my story. I was orphaned at the age of 1 by my biological mother because she came from another country. She didn't speak English. I also spoke Creole at the time, and so I had to learn English. And so because in America we have different systems, we had to learn a whole nother culture, a whole nother language. And because of that, she had lost all 5 of her boys to foster care. And so all that thing I knew was social services, foster care, kind of this really tragic story. And so when I was homeless, I'm like, well, I guess this is it. This is kind of where I hang my head, lay my life down, and I don't know what to do. And so I started writing for healing purposes, and then I went on a journey to find my long-lost family. And at 25 years old, I found them. And then that's when I published the book. And so how did I learn publishing? I had to go to Google. I had zero clue on how to publish this journey, this larger-than-life journey of how I went from a foster kid who was barely able to speak English to a college graduate to a professional basketball player to publishing a book. And so that was my first book, Be Your Own Hero. And so I had to figure out what was publishing. And that's really a lot of challenges that we see a lot of our clients What publishing route do they take? Is it only traditional? Is it Author House? Is it HarperCollins? What are the traditional publishing? And that's what I did. I went traditional when we first start off. And we like to say it's all done for you, but it costs a lot of money. And I was homeless and broken at the time. But it's kind of not a lot of control. So the publishing, it's kind of like TV broadcasting. They control a lot of it, and you don't have any convenience. Now, what I discovered was later on was KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing. That started in 2016. 2019 was when I published my book. I learned, hey, you can self-publish it. I think your mentor, Mike's mentor, told him about self-publishing at one point. And so it saved me a lot of money, I'll tell you that much. It cost more time, though. It was a lot more time to figure things out. We went the self-publishing route. Now in 2026, a lot more folks is being self-published because they have access and now they know. We also offer a hybrid model, actually, where it's a mix of both, where you do a sense of traditional publishing and self-publishing, where you can have a nice balance. And so that's where we are now. And so I always say, typically, again, the average author is around 42 for women. Average author for men is 44 years old. I'm not of that age yet. I am 31. Okay, and so it's so it's a lane I had to learn for myself on what traditionalism looks like, and so I like to go outside the box and think outside the box. And so I always recommend those who have if you don't have money, do self-publishing. If you have money, you can pay for it. But traditionally, some of the most important factors: time, factor in time, energy, and of course financial money. And so yeah.
And then just to add on to, you going the self-publishing route, you own your own royalties. So when you're in traditional publishing, like you mentioned, they own your royalties. So that's another. There's pros and cons to both. So with even though self-publishing is a little more work, you own all your stuff and you get to write how you want to write. Your voice is your voice. And so a little bit about my books for a second. How I got into self-publishing. Is my mentor, as Schwartzen mentioned several years back, my mentor had found me at just a stagnant point in my life. I was 326 pounds, I was overweight, and just a really stagnant point in my life. And so he had said, he's already an author, he already written like 5 or 6 books, and he had said, Mike, you got a story to tell. This is my mentor for over 16 years. He's like, you got a story to tell. So he made me think about my past. So I'm a suicide survivor. I had an attempt back in 2006. And then that's how I got led to, afterwards, that's how I got led to Christ. And that's how my life got saved. So my mentor caused me to think about that. And he caused me to think about the steps that we took even after that, as far as starting the camps and starting education, how God led me to education. So that's where the journey of one-term educator comes from. So just a little birth about my story. And he showed me how to do it the self-publishing route. So, yeah. Alrighty, so community versus followers. Community versus followers. So consistency builds trust. So even after you publish your book, now it's time to grow the book. We don't want to let the book sit on the shelves. We want it to be out there. So especially as self-published authors, you have to do your own marketing. Community is about people. Books should do the same, connect people. So how we do that? Social media is a free platform. So once you write your book, make sure you make sure your book has an Instagram. Make sure your book has a Facebook. Make sure your book has a TikTok. Get on all LinkedIn. Get on all social media channels and consistently post. I would say at least if you can, or you can hire somebody, do 1 post a day, several posts a week. You want to stay consistent because consistency builds trust. And even when you show up to book events, you might be a book vendor, you might have a speaking engagement, always show up consistently. Consistency builds trust. All right, engagement tool. So showcasing books for clients turn into businesses. All right, podcasts, book awards, Hollywood stages. This is something that happened to Schwartzen and I both. Little did I know that writing my first book, The Journey of One-Term Educator, little did I know that would get me on a Hollywood stage. None but the good Lord, none but the grace of God. Little did I know that would get me 15 awards. Nothing but the grace of God. Little did I know that would connect me and build author networks and business with somebody else who's like-minded. If I had not written a book, none of that would have happened. So my steps were definitely ordered. when you write your book, it leads to these engagement tools, if you want it to. If you want it to, you gotta want it. So get on podcasts, get on as many podcasts as possible. Start your own if you have the capacity. If you don't, just get on as many podcasts as possible. And there are resources out there to help you. And we'll talk about that down the road. Book awards. The first thing I did when I published my book, I didn't know, first of all, when I first published my first book, I just wanted to get out there. I didn't know what I was doing afterwards. I'm like, I got this book, now what do I do? So, of course, you know, because of AI and all the algorithms, they know you've written a book, all these award companies started popping up on my timeline. And I'm like, you know, I'm a self-published author. I've got to get my book out there. What's the first thing to do? Gain credibility. Gain credibility. Those little gold seals on your book carry weight. Whenever you see a gold seal in a book, it carries weight. So I started going after book awards. The first award I ever went after was the International Impact Book Awards. They were the first one to honor my book, just a month after my first book was released. All praise to God. That is what led me to conferences. That's what led me to meet people like Schwartzen. He applied for the same award, and he got it several months after I did. That's how we connected. So this doesn't just bring you to stages and, you know, and awards, but it also connects you with people and networking. So your book can essentially turn into a business if you want it to. It's just how you're going to work it. And then, so now, like I said, we want this to be engaging, interactive again. So I want you to get with your neighbor again. It could be a group of 3, it could be a group of 2. What are ways that you connect to your community? So I want you to think about that. I want you to answer these questions. So what are ways that you connect to your community? Writing, sports, etc., whatever that is, okay? So take a moment and talk to your neighbor, and then we'll do a share again, okay?
Yep.
So we'll spend the next like 10 minutes or so doing this. And please, if you're online, I definitely encourage you to be engaged at home as well. All right, all right, all right. I see a lot of you guys are wrapping up, so we can continue to move forward. Yeah, so just to expound on, we're going to let you guys speak in a minute, too. We want to hear what you guys are talking about. But just to expound on consistency builds trust. So how can your book connect people? You know, what events are you hosting? So this is stuff that you want to think about when you've published your first book. How can my book connect people? So like we said, we went to these author conferences. That helped us connect. In fact, Glossy, the reason why we're here today, the Great Lakes African American Writers Conference, that actually came about on my personal journey last year, and it connected me to a lot of local Cleveland authors. And it's funny, I invited Schwartzen to come with me, and he almost couldn't make it, but he was able to swing some things, and he made it. And so that connected us to here. And now we're here in Ann Arbor. So taking advantage of those opportunities, whatever you might be, to connect with people, connect with individuals. Think about places where your book can be the most beneficial. Like if you're in folklore, you know, where can a place like that be highlighted at? You know, go to where your audience is. For me, and for Schwartzen too, like schools. Mentoring programs, people like I mentioned before, people have lost their jobs. So my book, Laid Off, it just came out. I've been through a number of layoffs throughout my career, so I know the experience. So I'm aiming to go to places where I can reach those people. So think about where your target audience is, and that's where you can start connecting people. Show up to where that audience is. If you're spiritual, you know, go to churches. If it's women's support groups, go to women's support groups. I mean, whatever the case might be, you know, you can connect people and go to where your target audience is. Schwartz, you want to expound on anything before they start? Okay. All right, so we want to hear from you again. So we want to hear about your conversations. If anybody feels led to share.
Yeah, how do you connect with your community?
How do you connect with your community?
Yeah,
Anybody?
we would love to know how you connect.
We'd love to know how you connect.
Here in Ann Arbor. Yeah.
And we also have an audience that's watching online, so I'm sure they can benefit from your ideas too. Anybody would like to share? Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Oh yeah, we want to make this interactive, you guys. We don't want to just talk to you. We want to make this interactive.
I share that when I moved, whenever I move, I use Meetup to connect with people and, you know, look for different groups and join through there, and that's helped me build community when I moved to a new place. And we also talked a little bit about social media and like using LinkedIn to build community. So those were a couple of things we talked about.
Excellent.
Beautiful, yeah.
Feel led to share? Perfect.
So I kind of mentioned it earlier, but it's not local community necessarily, but I'm trying to start an email list with my writing to sort of build community virtually. So that's one way that I'm doing it. But yeah, definitely appreciate all your guys' idea about building more community and getting like more visibility, I guess. It's helpful.
I love how you mentioned email lists. That's so important for authors, especially in this business. If you have an email list, continue using it. That makes constant communication. I'm sure you've heard of Constant Contact or platforms like that. Definitely keep that going. That's good.
I have a question about that. So like one thing is like my concept for this was to have like an article in each weekly email. Curious if you guys think that's a good idea, and if so, like what the length of it should be. I was thinking like 500 or 600 words.
Yeah, I do newsletters to
Okay.
community partners.
Yeah.
I own an education consulting business that is in 25 states. And so how do you get the news out to 25 different states?
Yeah.
And I do one newsletter at the end of each month. And so I recommend a newsletter
Yeah.
just so it's not overwhelming to you.
Yeah.
I say monthly because it's 12 months out of the year as well.
Yeah.
That way you can stay consistent, because once you start writing, it can be overwhelming. But if you love it, if you know, I just go at your pace. Sometimes you can do it every 2 weeks just to engage. 52, articles in a year is, 52 weeks is a lot.
Yeah.
And so I'll just
That's a
say
good
pace
point.
yourself.
That's a good point. Yeah, maybe don't. Maybe
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
12
weekly.
articles for
I've tried it.
Like,
I've tried it.
kind
I've
of
done
a
it.
lot. Maybe be like, okay, every
Yeah.
bi-weekly, and maybe don't promise a weekly, right? Because you want that trust. That's a good point. I'm curious. What's your educational consultancy business?
Oh, it's called Hero Leadership.
Okay.
Hero Leadership Group. Yes. So I started off in social emotional learning. So the minute I graduated from Atlanta University, I served in AmeriCorps for education business for SEL. So character development, after school programming. I served a year in that community in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Oh, cool.
And so after doing that for a year, helping the students, it was over 300 students, who I then went nationwide and branched off. And so it was
That's awesome.
a nonprofit, and now I'm a for-profit.
Awesome. If you're interested, I would love to chat with you about that. I'm in the process of starting it's a little different than that, but educationally oriented business.
Absolutely,
Love to
yeah.
chat more.
We'll be able to take.
Oh yeah, we're going to be able to have plenty of time for that too within the next hour. So most definitely, I'm glad you said that. Yeah.
I think one of the ways that, community, again, common unity is how I like to call community. Common unity, it solves the problem of maybe feeling a little alone. You know, especially post-pandemic. I do a lot of things in California. I live in California now. We do a lot of things called community activation. And it's that sometimes communities have gotten stagnant post-pandemic because of the pandemic having to have everybody inside. And so what community did, what we came up with was being able to allow the authors, even because, you know, I'm from New York. You guys didn't know I was an author till I got here, right? And so to be able to have some visibility and to let us know that our books, you know, were for a reason for us to have community, even if it's a small 2 to 5 people in your group, right? It doesn't have to be Oprah Winfrey's book club, right? Okay, it doesn't have to be on the national stage, right? It's something that, you know, you were given to make you feel purposeful, you know, to allow your story to be heard, or just give people an adventure of a lifetime when it comes to fiction novel, and let you know that you also went through that journey because you wrote it. And so it's a beautiful thing to be able to explore community, to have a common unity. Again, he's over in Ohio. I'm in California right now. I've lived in 4 different states, lived in 3 different countries, been all over the place. And so to the fact that a book gave us a commonality and for us to bring our brands together to give the audience the value that they need in order for them to start their own book writing journey as well.
Yep. And going back to just posting too, there's a saying that it was I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it was, don't worry if you're living by likes. It goes something like this: if you're living by likes, it's gonna die out. So when you're posting about your book, when you're posting about your content, don't worry about who likes what. Don't worry about how many likes you're gonna get. Don't worry about how many follows you're gonna get. Just stay consistent. Your correct followers will come. Your audience will come. So don't worry about if people's not are people not sharing it, are people not liking it, are people, you know, do they care? Somebody has seen your post. When you post something, it's out there. So it doesn't mean that just because you didn't get any likes, it doesn't mean, you know, or any followers, it doesn't mean people aren't seeing it. A lot of people see your stuff, but they don't say anything, but they see it. And you are affecting somebody. So just stay consistent no matter what it looks like.
Yeah. And go to the next slide.
No, yeah.
One of the challenges as well, we like to be problem solvers, is that, again, followers, we live in a social media driven world now, especially post-pandemic. And that followers can sometimes feel very superficial, okay? It can feel very, you know, people could scroll, they look past you. Sometimes you got some haters, to be honest. You know, you have those things and you have those challenges. And so one of the things that community does, right, it allows you to, again, have that extra sense of connection. It also creates connection. Again, I had to transition out of sports. That was the second career of mine. That was my first thing. I'm from the Bronx, New York originally, spent 8 years in the Bronx. Then I moved to Staten Island because of foster care. And, you know, I like to say, when you grow up on the block and you only want to be another sheep in the flock, you was one of 2 things. You would sweep with the mic or you handled the rock, right? Which means the only 2 avenues for my career growing up was either a rapper or a ball player or, of course, a criminal. Right, and so that's what I saw, right? It was in my music, it was in my media, it was kind of, I didn't have any authors come to the high school, I didn't have any prestigious professors, no doctors, we didn't have any of that, and I'm sure the same is true in Detroit due to the simple fact that a lot of my mentors when I got to Finlandia were from Detroit, and our videographers from Detroit as well. And so avenues that allow young people to see themselves being successful outside of just the media agenda really helped me understand that I was on the right path and the right purpose. Because I met a young man with Mike on my journey, because I was doing this for 6 years by myself. I was helping students, doing my thing, but you know, I don't have any children, so I didn't know what my, you know, full purpose was going to be outside of just writing books. But now we've partnered together, help dozens of other authors get their book out there, created a platform where they can share their voice. You guys will see a video shortly about some of the individuals who we have help their families, help their name, help their brand, help their businesses, help their just visibility. Because again, having the followers might feel superficial, and it can lead to something bigger. And so we actually shared the stage with our wives over in Hollywood. So this is us in Hollywood, California, not even 6 months ago. And so to be able to invest in your network, growing your author brand, you guys should, I encourage, when we do on webinars, connect with each other. If you guys got business cards, stay connected. Even in Ann Arbor, if you drove from Detroit, if you're local, right? This is what the community activation is about. To be reminded that, you also read. You're here because you read. You're here because you want to be a writer. You're here. And so some of the branding basics that we talk about, because this helped both of our brands. Now folks can, Google us, and, we're in Hollywood, and, it's really nice to kind of have that notoriety behind you, because we put in the work for publishing our books, writing our books. We got 5+. His daughter recently just published a book as well. And so, I've wrote my first children's book for my nieces and nephews and things of that nature. So it brings to life something that I never got exposed to when I was younger. So this is the path that I'm on. And so what we want to talk about when it comes to, all right, after you've written your manuscript, now you're in the publishing process, trying to decide between traditional self-published. Then you got to market. You kind of got to own your author brand. You're now an author, right? You got your website, right? You got it up on Facebook. You got your followers, right? And so we always ask a question, even though you have your book, because we got several, all right, what do you want to be known for, and who exactly are you serving? We're in this for the heart of service. Okay, we came up with this phrase, right? We help other writers or individuals who are struggling, right, by helping them in the publishing process, so that they can be the best version of themselves, so that they can feel purposeful in their writing, right? We help others, right, in their writing process. Writing could be life still happens even if you're a writer, right? Life doesn't take a pause, right? Tragedy doesn't stop because you want to write a book. Things still happen, and it can be treacherous, it can be challenging, and we as publishing coaches help them through that. We help individuals through that.
So they can share their story. So they can share their story and have a voice.
There we go. Yep.
Yeah. And so no matter what genre you're in, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, poetry, your book should be meant to help somebody and inspire someone. Ideally, what can they learn? What can they grow from? So definitely think about this. This when you're saying that. Go ahead.
Yep. And so one of the greatest things that we saw, again, didn't have this information growing up, was that you can have your online bookstore, which we both have our own online bookstore, where we have it on Amazon, credibility like Amazon, so you can have your own book on Amazon. Barnes & Noble, while I was homeless at 24 years old and I was writing my own book, I actually worked at Barnes & Noble for 6 months. This is back when Michelle Obama's Becoming was the #1 bestseller. This is back when David Goggins, You Can't Hurt Me. I was reading every single book trying to figure out what was out there. Charlemagne the God's Black Privilege book, The Art and Science of Respect. I remember each and every book I was reading, soaking it up, and trying to see what's not out there. It seemed like all the books were written. And then I thought about my own journey. And I thought about, my mom, originally when she came to America and she got pregnant with me, her 5th boy, she named me Schwarzenegger. And so my birth name is Schwarzenegger, and I still go by that. However, the story behind it is, I saw this strong man on TV, and he was the strongest man I ever seen in my life. And I felt you kicking my belly, and I named you Schwarzenegger. And so I have a thick accent, yes. So that's a true story. That was the first question I ever asked her when I met her for the first time. And so when I talked on the phone. And so that was my story. So I grew up in foster care. And then so what I do, I'm a champion for underprivileged youth, champion for those who still struggle in poverty, champion for those in foster care. There are currently 450,000 foster children under the age of 18. Some of them age out. I've experience over a decade of myself being in foster care, seeing folks in and out, and see the effects of not having a strong parental guidance in your life. and being able to go through that and navigate that. And so I became a champion. In fact, the first time I ever spoke was in Grand Rapids, Michigan, outside of Finlandia, and they asked me to come and share my story because I was a foster youth, and it was during National Adoption Month. And so that elevated my platform back when I was 25, and 6, 7 years later, here I am being able to share here in Ann Arbor with you all about the importance of having a good diversity platform. And don't neglect the small mom and pop shops.
Come on now.
Right, your restaurants. People locally want to support. Those are usually the people who appreciate it the most because we know that we don't just share our story, right? We echo theirs. They're part of our community as well. So when I talk about the Bronx, I'm talking about the people from their community. I talk about New York. I talk about the people from Staten Island. Same thing, Cleveland, Ohio. And he talks about folks from his community.
And there's all types of platforms out there that can help you get in restaurants, get in stores. Like there's a national authors in grocery stores program that I applied for last year. So I could go to any Kroger or any mom and pop store around the country. There's actually programs and platforms to support authors. So you can get in stores. Don't undermine the restaurants and the stores because, I mean, you got a wide audience. I mean, anybody could be anywhere. So I was just at a community market 2 weeks ago, and I met a lot of people. I was the best I ever did at a book vendor event because you never know what audience is where. And also, going back to diversifying your platform, when you're on IG, when you're on Facebook, I encourage you also to create groups on those platforms. That also helps build community. What helped me out, especially with my first book, I started running ads on Facebook and on Meta and IG. I started running constant ads, and that actually, and you know, we run the ads. You get to type in who you're looking for. You know, people who are interested in the topics of your book. So that the AI algorithm will filter out to people who actually, you know, are your audience. And for those of you who are familiar with Amazon ads and with Facebook ads, know what I'm talking about. So definitely run ads on your book, and especially when you start your business groups on those platforms, because that also will build your following and the correct following, the correct community. Like when I started doing ads, my followers went from 300 to 1.5 in a month. So it can reach the right community, it can reach the right people. So just making sure you are intentional also when you're on social media and building your networks. Yep. All right, so this is the fun part. So this was actually one of my very first clients that came into my publishing company. So, you know, we started off as two separate publishing companies along with our collaborate venture. So mine is Copeland Consults, LLC, which was founded 2 years ago. And so this is one of my first clients. We have been blessed to publish 20 authors since then as well. But this is Melvin Hart Jr. Every 2 months, bi-monthly, Schwartz and I, we host webinars. And you'll learn more about that too before we get out of here today. We host bi-monthly webinars for anybody who is an author already or any aspiring authors. So, and at these webinars, we spotlight authors each month. So you can see the list of authors that are going to be, that have spoken already and that will be speaking throughout the course of the year. And these authors are our clients. They're clients that we have worked with. You know, what better testimony can be given by the person who's actually worked with you? And our authors are off and running. Not to brag, but to brag a little bit, our authors are off and running, especially when they follow the marketing plans that we give them. So since we are a self-publishing company, both of us, we put together marketing strategies for our clients to follow after they publish their book so it can grow. So for example, this was Melvin Hart Jr. He was an author in Nashville, Tennessee. He is an author in Nashville, Tennessee, and he did an excellent job presenting at our last workshop last month in February. He had been sitting on, his book is called Being Coached by God. So he's a football coach, and he's also a minister and educator. So because of his football background and because of his spiritual background, he kind of made a combination of the two. So his book is this size because he wanted to look like a playbook, because he's a football coach, and he wanted to make it easily accessible for ages 12 to 18. But he also is a minister. So what he does is he runs this book like a playbook, but for God and for spirituality purposes. And he also has scriptures in each chapter and the works. He had been looking and looking for publishing companies for years. He had actually, when I first encountered him, he actually had been through like 6 traditional companies, and they all gave him the runaround. Nothing felt right. They weren't treating him good. I mean, it was just really a bad experience for him in his particular journey. Traditional route might work for some people, but in his case, he couldn't find the right publisher. I'm blessed to say that when he encountered me through somebody who had recommended me to him, he was like, "Doc, this feels right. This feels right. I feel like," his words, "I feel like God has placed me here, and God has connected us here." And so with that, he had his 6 chapters. We were able to edit, proofread that, and then we were able to build the rest of his books. His book actually has 10 chapters now. So we were to fix we were to edit and proofread what he already had, and then add on to his book. So his process took about, because he already was halfway through, his process took maybe about 4 or 5 months, and he released his book May of last year. And this brother has been off and running. He's been on podcasts. He's been on YouTube videos. He's been in churches. I mean, his sales went off the chart. And he took advantage of opening his own online bookstore through Booksby, which we just showed you. And it's only $100 per year, and so it's really feasible. And he has had remarkable, his ROI, return on investment, was beautiful. Like, he made back what he spent in like less than a week. So his sales were great. He went to the right audience, so obviously churches, mentoring programs, youth programs. He got in front of the right audience and the right people and the right podcasts, and that's how he's building his community. So next month we'll have Brittany Walker, who's one of my clients, and Maureen Smith is one of Schwartzen's clients. So what we do is we bring a client from each of our companies, and they present together. So it kind of makes us joint in that sense. So our clients now have been bonding. So Brittany Walker, she's off and running with her book, How Cancer Saved My Life. I have it over there at the end. And so she is following her marketing plan to a T. And she's out there, she's getting in front of the right workshops. And so just wanted to highlight that growing your book after it's published is very important. Go ahead.
Yeah, and we represent their last names. Right, we represent their brands. We help them with it, and we represent their families. And so we do take care of that. You know, and there was a quote I really liked, that the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And so hearing his clients from, the Midwest, him hearing from my clients from California, we get to hear that, and we know that we're treating our clients with the utmost dignity, with respect, with love, with care. And so it really fills my cup when I hear his clients, because I don't always know them. He doesn't always know my clients and everything. And then to be able to provide strategy so that they can continue to grow. Because the life of a book is that of, I equate it to that of a baby. I think you need to take care of it very young.
Yes.
Any part of the process, if it's neglected, you might have to take it to go to the doctor, right, to get it checked up, to things of that nature, right? I think there's a very importance of being able to, again, birth the process of a book. And so publishing is like a birthing process, and that's really how I'm going to introduce, the next slide. It was her first book. She was, young, 24 when she wrote the book, but she published it this past December. We had like a birthday book fest and everything, and she did a phenomenal job. And, one of the first times that I was able to work with a children's book author, a mom of 2 as well. So you get to hear a little bit about her story. And then next month, I'm helping Maureen publish her book as well. And so that's part of her birthday gift to herself. Been working on it 2 years as well. Books take a long time. My first book was 6 months of writing, in all transparency, sleeping on my brother's couch, sleeping in my car, because I was homeless, Googling publishers and trying to figure out how to get it out there so people can buy it, because I invested a lot of time, money, energy, so I wanted at least a return on my investment. So that took another 4 months, and then editing and proofreading. That was another like 4 or 5 months, which is in and of itself. I couldn't afford an editor at the time, and so pretty much edited and had a lot of challenges to read, and folks was telling me, but eventually it went on to win an award. And so that was kind of the story that I told my long-lost family who I was before I even met them and things of that nature. And then since then, 6 more books. And so the next slide will be able to showcase one of our clients who was able to share her testimony working with us. Let's see. Oh.
Hi, my name is Lucina Mangoba. I'm here to talk about my book, Who God Says I Am, and how the process was being coached by Coach Schwartzen Precil. The overall process, it was a lot. I'm not gonna lie, there were times where I was up here, and then there were times where I was down here, and I wanted to give up. But he was able to help bring out a lot of confidence in me that was lying dormant. Maybe things that, you know, I didn't even see in myself. He was able to bring that out of me. And the process, it was fun. I'm very grateful, thankful that I did it. I did it. This is a book that is meant to really reaffirm you the way that God sees you. Not how culture sees you, not how the world sees you, not what society says. So when you have a book like this, then you are going to be filled up with the truth of how God sees you. And I am so excited. I'm so excited that this is not only on Amazon, but it's on my bookstore. Why should you get coached by Schwartz? Okay, well, not only because he's the best, but because that man, he don't play. He don't give no fluff. He has had a lot of skin in the game. This self-publishing, authorhood arena. So he has a lot of experience, and I personally would recommend him because he brings life. He brings, you know, encouragement. He will fire you up. Maybe some days you feel like defeated. Okay, he will meet you where you're at. But he calls you at a higher level. And I'm thankful that I had him during the publishing process, and we were able to get the book published on Amazon, and also having my own bookstore and author website. So I encourage you, if you are having mixed feelings of whether going down the self-publishing route or the traditional route, I would encourage you to look into getting a coach such as Schwartzen. Reach out to his team and he will help you. He will meet you where you're at. He's very gracious. I hope this video was insightful. I hope it gives you a little bit more peace about.
So one of the most important things for Lucina, and I have her book right here, was that it affirmed an identity. And again, everyone has some sort of like insecurity, identity crisis, maybe once in their lifetime. And so this really helps, you know, young people. This is her book. One of the first ones, again, children's book, Mom, right? Mom, and just being able to, again, walk her through that process. A lot of our clients, you know, they have those challenges, and you get to open up, whether it's adventure fiction or nonfiction. Something inside of you wants to birth that. It wants to again, go to and explore that in the world. I believe, like, you know, if you're not, you know, expressing yourself to the highest level, to the highest capacity. Like, it's the reason why I used to dance when I was younger. They called me Shwayzy, because I used to dance in class, and this is why, like, I didn't do good academically, because I used to dance, and I had ADHD, I was neurodivergent. All those different challenges, has to do with your identity. And if you're unable to express it because the world and society this and all of that, and you feel like you have to box yourself in, don't box yourself in when it comes to writing a book. You know, let yourself feel, let yourself, you know, be proud of who you are beyond anything else, even if you weren't affirmed when you was a kid, or, you know, you had challenges with parental and things like that, like myself, which is why I took the route that I did with sports, because I was like, if it was sports or it's nothing. I have no other background, no other backup. No, I had nothing else besides the very fact of I believe, and God would allow me to use that belief through sports, and now I get to do it through books. And so this is what I do full time. This is my career. We're both entrepreneurs in our aspects, and so we get to share that same love and growth that we shared with the community with other people across the country. And so,
yeah.
You want to add?
So just to not too much, but just to add on. And I think I've heard some of you guys in your previous testimonies. How many of you guys have a notebook already that you just write in? Yep, exactly. That's how it starts. You know, I always tease myself, I'm Harper Stewart from The Best Man. He was that author. He always started off with that book. He was writing in that book. That's me. I have a little notebook where all my thoughts go into first before I transfer it onto Word document. And then after I've done writing chapter by chapter, then I edit. So the point is just write. Just write. Journal first will be my suggestion, and then transfer to Word document. Edit later. So I just wanted to harp on that a little bit.
And we're about to get into our time where we want to definitely be able to open up for Q&A shortly. We might drop one more gem. I'm also a spoken word artist, and because, like I said, I grew up in the hip-hop culture, birthplace of hip-hop, and so there's always a little sway thing in my head going on, and I would love to share it with you all. But before we do, we would love to get your feedback. We want to thank, Ann Arbor District Library for even welcoming Dr. Copeland and myself. Thank you to Glossy, to being able to represent the Glossy Foundation here. And before we, again, open up to Q&A, we also got some giveaways for everyone who fills out a form, like a feedback form. You get to enter into a raffle where you do get a shirt. I'll show you the shirt. You get to, all right, it says be your own hero, okay? It's an aspect of it. It has a lion or lioness on it, okay? And you guys get to, raffle this off. And we'll do it here, too, as well, so in real time. So the next slide, you just take out your phone.
And they also get a cheat sheet, right?
Oh, yes. As a thank you for filling it out, you also have an author cheat sheet. So we like to give our anybody who comes to the webinars or these events, you get a cheat sheet. So author legacy is kind of like the package, what it's called, where you can solidify your legacy through the book. And so as a cheat sheet, it just allows you to have some points that we talked about here, some takeaways. If you didn't take notes, that's fine. We have AI nowadays where it could just email you the exact things that we talked about, and you have that in your pocket. And so the next slide will show that.
Yeah, we just want you guys, we always want our audience to leave with something. We don't want you guys just to come, get spoken to, participate, because, life goes on, everything happens, you forget what you learned like 2 days later. So we want to make sure that each audience that we serve has something to take home with them as their reference.
So if you're looking online, just pull out this QR code. It will ask for a code, author. Each code has a different gift that we give away, so AUTHOR. If you are tuning in online, you could put in your chat, talk, TALK.AC/Schwartzen. All right, that's talk, TALK.AC/Schwartzen. Use this code AUTHOR, and you will be able to get the author legacy cheat sheet for attending this in-person live session. And so, again, the questions is just, what do you think? And then how would you describe it as a friend?
So please take a moment and fill that out, and we'll give you guys a few minutes to do that.
It's about 90 seconds, so as soon as you're done, just let us know. You can put your phone down, or you can follow us on the social media platforms. We'll have our website. We have our cards afterwards as well. So, and then we'll take some Q&A, and then I'll do a spoken word.
And then we have some also resources, too, that we're going to discuss. And then at the end, we don't want you guys to rush out of here. We want you guys to come and see our table. We'll be available to check out our books and to get some other resources, too. So that's kind of how we'll wrap the last 40 minutes here. And as a reminder to our online audience, we definitely encourage you to fill this out as well. So if you're online watching, please take a moment to do that as well.
as you finish up, as you come to a close. You're more than welcome to, again, like I said, we'll still show you the resources that we offer to those who do aspire or in the process of writing a book. We like to show them, but before we do, like I said, if there's any immediate questions, burning desires, questions that might came to mind that we maybe didn't address, and that we'll be able to.
I mean, you touched on it a little bit, but can you just talk a little bit more? Like, I'm not, like, how does the process of self-publishing actually work? And do people, I mean, like, what is the success rate and sort of reach of someone that self-publishes versus traditional publishing? Because there's got to be reasons, right, why people do traditional publishing, even though you're making less money and it's more controlled and stuff like that.
It's a great question.
Excellent question.
Yeah. We both have different ideas when it comes to it. The first thing I would ask, what does success mean to you subjectively? I think there's an objective way, right? If you make $1 million, you're successful, right? If HarperCollins, if you J.K. Rowling, you're successful, right? And
Random House.
Right. And so what is success, right? Would you say, for me, if we're talking to J.K. Rowling, someone who had to change her name because women can be published at a certain time, when she was trying to publish her book, right? Single mom at the time, denied from so many publishing houses because she was a woman. And so, but all she needed was one to take a chance, but she had to change her name. And so when we talk about success, we ask our client, what would you like to accomplish through this writing a book? And so you can literally go on Google Docs right now and start writing what you call a manuscript. So the manuscript is just you scribbling on it, getting it down, right? That's not the book because it needs to be edited, formatted, proofread, line edited, and there's a lot of steps to that. And so those are the steps that most people have challenges with because they don't really know. What format do I want my book in? Do I want it hardcover? Do I want an audio book? So that's the broader sense of where I want to go with my book. And then how do I want to publish it is then that next question as far as traditionally. When I mean traditionally, you can go Google right now and see some traditional publishing companies, publishing houses, and things of that nature. You pay a certain amount, they give you the book. You don't have control over royalties. They tell you how much you can get. So when I went traditional, I got a quarter for every dollar that they were sold. And so they got 75%. I got 25%. And I was doing pretty well because I had a pretty nice profile with sports and I had a hell of a story. And so I didn't like the fact that they were taking so much money.
That's crazy.
Exactly. And so I was like, what do I do? I had no Michael Copeland. I had none of that. Right. And so I was like, let me take matters into my own hands. And that's when I found the self-publishing route with KDP. And so that's why we encourage folks to do publishing, self-publish, because you do get 100% of royalties. If you set up a certain way, you can go to any organization, you can sell it yourself. And now you talk about access to printers. That's where we do like KDP. There are other ways where we get access to printers. But did you want to touch on anything with that?
Yeah, and so self-publishing, it gives you more opportunity to do more with it. So to answer your question, it's what you make it. You're going to get into what you put out of it. So you have more control when you have self-publishing. So traditional companies, there are certain guidelines you have to follow. Like there's some authors who came and attend our webinar or our impact events because there's guidelines under Random House and traditional publishing companies. Yeah, you can't even go to certain places, depending on which traditional publishing company you go through. Not saying, you don't go that route if that's what you're called to do, but there are certain guidelines when it comes to traditional publishing. You can't go to certain things. Mm-hmm. They tell you where you can go, where you can't go. They tell you how to write, and they own your royalties too. Yeah. So that's kind of, and some people want that. I mean, some people like they're over marketing, they're over the book signings. Some people like that route. So there's nothing against it if that's the route you want to go, but that's what deterred me from going that route. And that's why I started doing self-publishing. Yes, it's work, but guess what? It's hard work that it's mine. It's mine.
Yeah.
It's mine. And because of that, I have been blessed, through the grace of God, to get on Hollywood stages, to get consistent book sales, to get keynote speeches, to meet business networking all on my own. Nothing is traditional about this right here. So I say it to say you're going to get out of what you make it. And that's why I say don't just get on Amazon. Amazon is just one platform. Get on Ingram Spark too when that book is published. Ingram Spark will put your book on many platforms across the world. Like you'll be on Barnes & Noble. You'll be on Books A Million. You'll be on Booktopia. You'll be on Thrift Books. You'll be on books in, my books are in Australia. They're in China. So when you're done writing the book, when it's all done, when it's all proofread, when it's all edited, you can easily publish that book on Amazon. My suggestion, Amazon, Ingram Spark, which does all platforms, and getting your online bookstore. Those are the 3 things that I use every time I publish one of my books. 3 platforms: Booksby, Ingram Spark, and Amazon. Now, Ingram Spark can connect you to Amazon too, but I always do Amazon separately because I get to write, how I want to write. But that's kind of to your question. Go ahead. You had a question. You had another. Yeah.
Yeah, just one follow up. So what you guys are offering with your business is a hybrid. Can you talk more about specifically what that is and like what percentage of the royalties you guys do with your clients?
That's a great. You're getting ahead of us. I love it. You're getting ahead of us, and you're answering the right questions. We're getting there. Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah, no worries if you're gonna get to it.
No.
Exactly
We love that. We love that. You're right on point.
So, it's like, what exactly do you
that's
offer?
a great
What
segue.
exactly do you
Great
get?
segue.
How do the clients work with you, and what exactly does that roadmap look like?
Right. So this is so speaking of which, that was a great question. We have services that we offer to our clients. So now, aside from our own individual clients that we made before we even met each other, we now are taking in joint clients together and offering accelerator programs. And we've already started getting clients tapping into these services. So this first service that we're offering is our Author Legacy Accelerator. It's an 8-week program where you get to have a 2-on-1 coaching session each week with us, or wherever fits your schedule. So in these 8 weeks with authors, we discussed your author legacy roadmap. So we clarify your mission. We clarify who your target audience is. We create a long-term vision for you as a writer. Also, the publishing navigation blueprint. We help you create a step-by-step guidance on choosing the right publishing route, timeline, and industry must-knows. Brand identity, growing your brand, and positioning coaching. So we help you define your author brand voice. We help you with imagery, and we help you own your niche authority to stand out. Book launch and marketing strategy. So we offer a complete launch plan for you paired with proven marketing starter tools, all right? Social templates, email copy, promotional ideas, all right? We also provide for you a platform growth and engagement plan. So action steps for building a loyal online following and connecting with readers pre and post launch. We also help you create an author community integration. So networking strategies to collaborate with other authors. So for example, our webinars and other programs like that. So access to cross promotions and to grow influence.
And that's how Dr. Copeland and I met.
Yes.
We invested into a program
Right.
That was mentioned earlier.
Right.
And we met each other, but it was hundreds of people in that program. And so he reached out to me, and then we connected, and we was like, well, we're in the same similar field. There's not too many folks that look like us that do this.
Exactly.
So why don't we just work together in that sense?
And then you guys, even though this was a free event to you all, even events like this, you guys have been communicating with each other. I suggest you guys get each other's information, collaborate, talk, build community. But there are a lot of webinars, resources. Like we still go to we still invest in different conferences ourselves. Like I just went to a best-selling conference just a few months ago. Every time you go to these conferences, whether virtual or in person, it's about building networking. So we help you get in line with that. We give you suggestions, tips, strategies, and places where to go. Also, a media and outreach toolkit, ready-to-use scripts, talking points for podcasts, any events we have church events, but any events you might be doing, bookstores, and media interviews. So we're connected to radios. We have all those connections that we give to people. Mm-hmm. Yep, go ahead.
And so to ask to what's the hybrid model, the traditional is that they put their branding on your book. For a hybrid model, you have that option.
Right.
You can not have our branding, or you can have your branding depending on. Some of my clients have my branding on it. Hero Publishing, some of his clients have his on it. And so you have that choice. Traditionally, you don't get that choice.
Right.
Traditionally, you have to sign the contract, come up with the agreement, agree to those terms and conditions. You don't negotiate because they hold all the control, they hold all the power. You're paying them in order to get this book out and market to their platform, to their audience. They essentially are your distribution route, which is what we talked about when it came to like Booksby, Amazon. There's different avenues. So that's the key differences.
So do you guys do a royalty as well, or is it the fee just the $1,800?
Yeah, no, it's just a fee. That's the good thing about here. It's just a fee. You own
keep
all your
all your
royalties.
royalties,
We don't
yeah.
take none of your royalties. You own everything about your book after it's done with us.
Which is
Yeah,
why the
sounds
model has worked there.
And it sounds like the client is still kind of like self-publishing. Like you're not literally
Yes.
publishing it for them. You're providing the guidance and the structure to help them
Yeah,
self-publish.
exactly. So I like to call it a self-publishing company. So we help people. We help you the same. We give you the same resources as a traditional publishing company as far as the editing, the proofreading, and the time spent. But that's all you would be paying for us. Once that book is done, your royalties are yours.
I've had clients that want the traditional, so I've had clients that wanted to traditional where she don't like to say ghostwrite. I spirit wrote the book completely with her. I did the branding, did everything for them. They just like, hey, I'm a grandma of two, of five boys. I just needed it to be done. Help me with it. Let's go traditional. So I did the entire traditional. That's Maurice Smith. So.
And if I can just add on too, we actually have had clients that have bought these packages and individual book clients too, that their ROI has been awesome. Like my client, How Cancer Saved My Life, Brittany Walker, who's speaking next month, she already made a return on her investment of what she spent with me already back in 2 months. In 2 months, she made her return on investment back. But it's because of what she put into it. She's constantly posting. She's constantly on social media. She's following the marketing plan that we created to a T. So you're going to get out of it what you make it.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you, guys.
So part of that, is also part of like public relations, PR, right? Do you have to hire a PR firm in order to kind of get the book? If you go self-traditional or self-published, right? I'm not known as an author. How do I get myself to the right audience? How do I get people to read my book? Right, and so we also offer. This is actually part of. We're both on tour, 2 separate book tours that we collaborated on. Yeah, so mine goes till May, and so and that's why we offer like visibility tours. Right, we offer where you can have a vendor spotlight it. We also, again, this is our first event that we're hosting in person like this, but however, it's not our last. We're in partnerships with that, so you get the booth. You have the on-site promotion. We have access to magazines, press releases.
Yes.
In fact, the recent client just was on New York.
The New York Review. So we had a client that just bought this package. We have one particular client who just bought this package in February. Yeah. Within a week, we had her on the New York Review. We had her on a podcast. Mm-hmm. She was actually supposed to come to this conference. She just couldn't make it because she had a conflict. Mm-hmm. So she was getting ready to get spotlighted here too. But we have conferences that we do all throughout the year that will bring authors to and give you a stage, give you a spotlight. So she got a radio interview. She got a podcast interview. Mm-hmm. She was on a New York Review. She had just moved to New York City. So for her to be a new resident in that area and to already be on a New York Review for her business is pretty powerful.
And the reason why that was important because she signed traditionally. And so she has a traditional publisher that allows her to do it. However, the visibility wasn't there. And so she came to our webinar. She saw the value of it. She was like, hey, how do we be a part of that? And so part of that is, again, I have a platform where as you saw in the other video, I interviewed authors at like Author of the Year. Like, cause I'm like a big kid, so I interviewed. I just set up my podcast, my iPhone, and I just start recording. What made you write the book? And then we offer that for free. Like, you can go on my YouTube and see all the resources that we offer and things of that nature. And so that helped the visibility as well. And so
so if you already have a book that you've written and you just need help with visibility, we got you.
Yep. So any questions with that one? Good. All right. And then we did come up with a third resource.
Yes.
This is where we kind of like, okay, you want to talk about the author activation? We wanted to, provide something that where essentially, hey, I'm on hard times right now. Things are financially challenging. I don't like to say broke. I like to say financially challenging right now. We don't want to stress folks out. If you feel like you have the will, desire to be able to publish a book, launch a book, write a book, because it takes a lot of time, work, effort, energy, money. It does take a lot out of you.
It's an investment. Writing a book is an investment.
We wanted to create something called the Author Activation Kit, all right, where we came up with this module. I mean, you want to talk about it first?
Yeah, so we realized that sometimes people, not everybody has the investment to launch a book, with the fee. So we create an easy, feasible way for somebody who wants to write a book but just needs a more feasible way of doing it. So this is us, Schwartz and I. This is our brains, our knowledge, all in one book. All in one book.
So a decade of knowledge.
So think of this as one-on-one coaching without the people. This is all of us in one book. So if you say, hey, I like what you guys are offering, but I'm just not ready to pay that $14.97, this is a really feasible offer. It's usually $2.97, but today we're doing $40 off to be $2.47. So this is a step-by-step process from how to craft an idea to turning it into publishing your own book. It's a step-by-step process. This is not a book you read. This is a workbook. Yeah. It's 42 pages of work. And if you follow it to a T, you will be able to publish your own book within 90 days or less, depending on what you put into it and how you make it.
So you got to follow. You got to
follow it to a T. It's not something you just read.
Yeah.
You got to get your pen and paper if you get this book,
yes.
and make sure that you follow it to a T. So we got clarifying your story with purpose in Module 1. Module 2 talks about building the book blueprint. Starting with your preface, starting with your introduction, your chapter by chapter. So it has a whole outline of how the book should look. Editing and refinement. Module 3, writing with discipline. So making sure you carve out time to write each day. I suggest that if you can write at least 10 minutes a day. That's how I do my books. I write at least 10 minutes a day. It's not much. Maybe it cover a chapter, maybe it'll cover a few pages. But if you can just carve out a little bit of time a day to do something, it will get done eventually. So we talk about Module 3, writing with discipline, creating a plan for that. Module 4, editing and refinement. That's at the end. We talk about edit afterwards. So editing and refinement will be Module 4. And then, of course, the last module is publishing and launch preparation. And even with this book, we'll even put our business cards in this too, because if you have any questions or if you felt that the book didn't cover something, you can easily email us and ask a question.
We haven't had that yet, but
It's available.
So it's available.
It's available.
And it was really a pleasure being able to write that again. I wrote my first book. I wrote my first book when I was 24, but published it at 25. I'm like, that would have saved a lot of time, effort, energy, searching, Google searches. I mean, this is before the AI boom. I'm talking 2018, 2019. So, there's decades worth of knowledge in this small compacted book that's really worth it.
And if you do your research, writing a book, whether you go the traditional route or this route, it's an investment. It's an investment. And so even this book is an investment, a smaller one, but it's still an investment. Yep.
Yeah. Any questions with that one?
Yes, go ahead.
You were saying that you're an entrepreneur before, so kind of like a side thing. Do you also have like a guideline for how to patent and create a product? I mean, is that something that you do as well?
So I also do entrepreneur clients as well. I help. So when I first started Copeland Consults LLC, I had just gotten my doctorate. I had just gotten my business coaching certification. So I actually started my business to help entrepreneurs build their brand. So for entrepreneurs who have any type of business, they come to me for business plans, business development, goals.
What I'm wondering is, how can I connect with you after this workshop for like a product that I want to?
We're gonna give you I love how I love this. So that's gonna happen. That's gonna happen in about a few minutes. So we're gonna give you guys a chance to come.
I got another one I want to go to at 1. That's why I wanted to.
Gotcha. Okay, so we're gonna hurry and get through this.
Yeah. We're about to wrap up.
We're about to wrap it up. So we're about to wrap it up, and we're gonna be over here, and then you.
Grab a card, connect,
Grab a
definitely
card,
do
resource sheets, everything. Yep.
Yeah, and just for clarity, he does the entrepreneur coaching. And everything. I do the author education. And I help schools with workbooks. And all that stuff.
So now my business. So when I published my first book, my business now just incorporates all entrepreneurs, including publishing services.
Do you do investing at all?
Investing?
Yeah, like in a product. If I have a product that I want to create, and you believe in that product, or I have like a business plan for that product, do you do any investing? Kind of like a...
I don't personally do any investing, but I can give you resources towards investing.
Okay.
Yes. And we can create a plan for that too. Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
Any more burning desire questions? All right. Some folks drove a long way. That's all right.
Right. Well, we did want to leave.
Victorious.
Right. We did want to. So is there another slide for this?
That's it.
That's it? Okay. So Shui is going to. And so same thing. So we already talked about that. And we have paper copies of everything over here too. Shui is going to do a quick motivational speaking piece for a second, and then we're gonna have you guys come over here, check out our books, services, and cards, that way you can stay connected.
Okay. So, Haley remembers me from, oh, sorry, Victoria. All right. Sorry, Victoria. From Finlandia, I used to, I didn't do much outside of just basketball. And so when I started writing, I wanted to, I wrote for the purpose of healing, for the purpose of feeling something, right? I had a lot of good mentors from Detroit, shout out to Detroit, and I had a hip hop background. And so I was trying to figure out my own voice. And writing helped me figure out my own voice. I'll move right here just so you can. Writing helped me figure it out. It helped me go into just deep spaces in my mind, in my heart, understanding myself, understanding the way of life, understanding even God. I didn't grow up in a religious household, and so I had to learn that myself. I actually grew up with an atheist father, and so he was actually, the God of his house. And so in my book writing journey, when I was trying to figure out life, purpose of life, I wrote this one piece. It's my first original piece. I've written spoken word, and now I would love to share with you all. So this one's called How to Feel Your Feelings Without the Fear of Judgment. Most of us understand that the world leaves no room for weakness. When we vent, we're called complainers. When we're tired, we're called lazy. When we fight, we're called rebels. When we're discouraged, we're called depressed. When we're hesitant, we're called double-minded. When we cry, just one tear. These preconceived judgments leave people like yourself, all the children of God, how to feel without fear. See, we're conditioned to swallow our pain instead of our pride, expressing little reference to the pain that truly resides inside. You see, we stress because we don't know where to start. But I say, look at the words of Jesus, for he says murder begins in the heart, for he has freed us from jealousy, hatred, pain, and anger, for we can feel the love of God through the hug and words of a stranger. I have learned how to feel without fear. And it's okay to show meekness. Remember the words of Scripture. His strength is perfected in mankind's weakness. So when I wrote my first book, I went to closets, emotional closets that I swore to never open. Doors I mentally locked away just to open it up and hear my Heavenly Father say, son, you are chosen. I have learned how to feel without fear. You see, the moment I let go of myself, Christ healed me from all past mistakes. Be not misled. My book is called Be Your Own Hero, but not all of them wear capes. That's right. Like those who willingly gave their lives on the day of ground zero, you see, God's love is the fighting spirit needed to be your own hero. Because for Schwartzen, I just wanted freedom. I wanted freedom from my emotional incarceration. And during my book writing process, I discovered mankind's true transformation, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Schwarzenegger Young Precil, named after Schwarzenegger. Right, I found my long-lost family and opened up my first business, launched my first book, all in 1 year. Be not misled. That has led me how to feel without fear. Thank you. So we can, if you guys would like, you guys can meet us over there, look at the books, some of our clients' book, our books, ask some questions. And again, stick around for the raffle. Those who are here is only available for the raffle. And I'll go and check the laptop to see who the winner is.